Hello there guys! Welcome back to our channel, where we share our personal experiences and fitness tips that inspire you to achieve the highest quality of life, no matter your age. I'm thrilled to have you here today because we're diving deep into a topic that's close to my heart, my personal journey with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, other known as PCOS. You see, life is a roller coaster ride, filled with unexpected twists and turns. And my journey with PCOS has certainly been one of those twists. It's a condition that affects millions of women worldwide, and sadly, it's often misunderstood or overlooked. But today, I'm here to shed light on this complex hormonal disorder and share my personal experiences. First of all, what exactly is PCOS? PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, which is a common hormonal disorder that affects women of reproductive age. It is characterized by a combination of symptoms related to hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, and metabolic abnormalities. Unfortunately, the exact cause of PCOS is not yet fully understood, but it is believed to involve a combination of genetic and environmental factors. One of the primary features of PCOS is the presence of cysts in the ovaries, which are small fluid-filled sacs. These cysts are actually immature follicles that have not developed properly due to hormonal disturbances. Women with PCOS may experience a variety of symptoms, although the specific symptoms and the severity can vary from person to person. Some common signs and symptoms include, first and foremost, irregular or absent menstrual periods. Women with PCOS often have irregular menstrual cycles, with longer or unpredictable gaps between the periods. Some women may also experience very light or heavy periods. The second symptom is androgen dominance. This means elevated levels of androgens, such as testosterone, can cause symptoms like excessive hair growth on the face, chest, or back, as well as acne and male pattern baldness. The third sign is ovarian cysts. So there are multiple small cysts that can form in the ovaries, but these cysts are not harmful or cancerous. Fourth, and very common, is metabolic issues. PCOS is associated with insulin resistance, which can lead to weight gain, difficulty losing weight, and an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. The fifth symptom is fertility problems. Women with PCOS may have difficulty conceiving due to irregular ovulation or even lack of ovulation. Diagnosis of PCOS is typically based on the presence of specific symptoms combined with blood tests to evaluate hormonal levels and an ultrasound examination to visualize the ovaries and search for the cysts if they're present. Now let's talk personal experience. I was diagnosed with PCOS in 2021, right after I took part in the World Championship as a fitness bikini. It truly felt like my world turned upside down. Actually, ever since I was little, I experienced a wide range of symptoms which could have been related to PCOS. Those included irregular periods. It was the major one, as I could miss my period for 6 months at a time. I was also struggling, and I'm actually still struggling with managing my weight because it always fluctuates. And what I mean by fluctuating is not 500 grams or 300 grams per day. I mean, it could be 2 kilos in a day. As I was just recently diagnosed, I didn't know that the reason behind it is PCOS, or could be PCOS, and hypothyroidism. Because to be honest, I always ate and exercised more than the people around me. Don't get me wrong, I was able to lose weight, but only when I would go to the extreme, like exercising excessively and eating very little to literally no food, which of course led me to an unhealthy relationship with food and my appearance as well. Mood swings was also a big one. Long ago, I started noticing that it was particularly hard for me to go through stressful events, as in I would not respond to them with a learning attitude, but rather it was the end of the world attitude. When I was diagnosed with PCOS and subclinical hypothyroidism, things finally started to make sense, and I'm actually happy that I finally figured out the cause of these symptoms and started to search for solutions. I started exploring various holistic approaches, from dietary changes and exercise routines to stress management techniques and self-care practices, because I'm not really a fan of taking medication. Like, I know for women with PCOS they prescribe metformin, but I would much rather change my daily habits rather than go for pharmaceuticals. And let me tell you, it wasn't really easy, but it was absolutely worth it. So here are some solutions that I found from scientific research, medical professionals, and also from my personal experience. Let's go back to the times before I was diagnosed with PCOS. I was always into sports and fitness activities. Actually, as a kid, I was doing figure skating, horse riding, played tennis, and was always into dancing. Fun fact, I started dancing when I was just 2 years old. My school days were full of various activities. But you know, I was still very chubby kid, despite all this physical activity and a reasonably healthy diet, which my mom always took care of. I wanted to lose weight desperately for my school prom so I could look good in the pictures and videos. That was actually the time when I got into running. It was in 2010, I think. I lost weight in the beginning because I started to excessively restricting my food, but still, my weight was always fluctuating. In 2013, I was studying in London, and when I went to visit my parents, they got really deeply concerned about my well-being because I gained 20 kilos in a very short time, and my father talked me into trying the gym. I fell in love with it straight away, and only after I started training, my weight fluctuations somewhat reduced. There is scientific explanation why strength training worked much better than cardio for me. Well, PCOS is linked to insulin resistance. That is why it is so difficult to manage your weight with this syndrome. Essentially, what it means that your body does not effectively metabolize glucose. In that sense, strength training helps with improving your insulin sensitivity. If you want to learn more and are interested in science, then I'll leave you some of the scientific articles in the description down below. So check them out. Of course, when I was diagnosed with PCOS, I've already been weightlifting for 8 years consistently, 3, 4, 5 times a week. So my insulin resistance is not that bad, as I've learned from my blood test results. You can check it with a HOMA-IR test, which assesses the relationship between glucose and insulin. So if you are struggling, try to incorporate strength training into your exercise routine. Working out with weights is essential for women with PCOS. Another significant change that I've made without knowing that I had PCOS was my diet. After the COVID pandemic, I had this idea in my head to compete in fitness bikini, which is a bodybuilding competition, together with my mom. It requires you to be very lean to go on the stage. That's why I started to thoroughly calculate my macros, prioritizing protein intake, and controlled for my portion sizes. Together with changing my diet, I also eliminated alcohol and have reduced the amount of simple carbs I ate. That includes fruits, pastries, and overall try to focus on eating whole foods. It works really well, and it still works. The problem with that is I'm a human, and sometimes I also slip off the routine, and then it becomes problematic. To this time, I still have to refrain from whole grains, for example, as I believe I have intolerance to them, and they affect my energy levels and cause a significant water retention. In no way do I advise you to follow my footsteps of avoiding whole grains. They are a very good source of energy and are full of vital micronutrients. In fact, as a nutrition specialist, I would say you should consume them on a regular basis. It is just, personally, I do not feel good after eating them, and whenever I do, I have some unpleasant effects. What I would suggest is to listen to your body and try to create your own nutrition plan based off the way your food makes you feel. You should feel energetic and productive. Also, do not forget about protein. Aim at a minimum of 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of your weight, as it will help you to feel satiated for longer and is essential for muscle recovery and rebuilding. Also, incorporating anti-inflammatory foods and spices such as turmeric, pumpkin, berries, and others does wonders. PCOS is linked to high inflammation in the body, thus those foods are very beneficial. Gym and healthy eating also help me with my emotional state. I've noticed that when I become less consistent, my mood swings come back, I feel exhausted and unproductive. And the hardest part is to get back on track. When I'm on it, things become easier to handle. If I'm feeling very overwhelmed, I would also practice some breathing techniques that I've learned from Huberman podcast. My favorite is 2 inhales and 1 exhale. I'll link his podcast in the description as well. I started listening to Huberman's lab podcasts because of the daily walks that also are pretty effective for stress reduction and just overall physical activity. Now, hear me out. I'm not an expert, but because of these challenges that I experience on a daily basis, I have started the course about women's hormones and health, so I can spread awareness and help not just myself, but other girls and other women in finding the solutions that work for them. Actually, I found empowerment in navigating the challenges of PCOS, and I've learned to embrace my body, nourish it with the right foods that work for me individually, move it with joy, and prioritize self-love and self-care. And I'm here to share all of my learnings, tips, and resources with you. I hope that by sharing our experiences, we can build a community of support, knowledge, and encouragement. Remember, girls, we are not alone on this journey. Together, we can break the stigma surrounding PCOS and empower one another to live fulfilling lives. So, if you're ready to embark on this incredible adventure, hit that subscribe button and join me on this personal PCOS and hypothyroidism journey. My mother, who you also can see on our follow-along workout videos, suffers from autoimmune hypothyroidism, which is called Hashimoto. She is currently navigating her own way into this disease and will be sharing her experiences with you soon. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!